Peace, love, and empowerment, beautiful people. I pray that this video finds you well and that you are out here achieving goals, getting the job done. LJ the Peacemaker here, doing peaceful things as always. Need peace? I got some, and I'm willing to share. So today, let's talk about self-doubt. Self-doubt is just a feeling. Now, I say that and it's like, wait a minute. Self-doubt could have us paralyzed and questioning ourselves and stuck in the same old place for years and years and years until we overcome it. But if we look at what self-doubt really is, now, doubt in and of itself is a natural feeling. And doubt is defined as a feeling of uncertainty or a feeling of a lack of conviction. So if that's what doubt in and of itself is, then self-doubt would be the feeling of a lack of conviction towards ourselves or the uncertainty about ourselves and our own abilities. However, feelings are fickle. Like, they come, they go, they change, they fluctuate, and feelings are a normal part of life. And so it's for us to really learn to manage our feelings, because they're not going to go away, but they were never intended to be the driver of our lives. We have a functioning brain that works, so it's for us to talk ourselves down, think our way through these feelings so that we can continue to proceed and move forward. Now, I recently heard Viola Davis say that imposter syndrome never goes away. So imposter syndrome is really just that, self-doubt. You feel like a fake, a fraud, a phony. And those thoughts arise. But to hear such a successful woman saying that never goes away, it really just showed me that this feeling of self-doubt that we're probably stressing and straining to overcome is really just a normal feeling. It's a feeling that will inevitably arise repeatedly throughout life. So we don't need to be afraid of it. We don't need to allow it to control us. All we need to do is remember it's just a feeling, and feelings are subject to change. Now, our feelings stem from a lot of what we're exposing ourselves to. So we're probably exposing ourselves to things that are feeding that self-doubt. So how can we change what we're exposing ourselves to? We expose ourselves to better stuff, more encouraging things, more motivational things. However, those are all external factors. We have to be able to motivate and encourage ourselves. Now, self-doubt in and of itself, if you look it up, is defined as a lack of confidence in your abilities. However, like I just previously said, that doubt in and of itself is defined as a feeling of uncertainty. So how do we go from doubt being this feeling of uncertainty to self-doubt being a lack of confidence? To me, that sounds way too big and like a leap and a stretch and a reach. I don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if doubt is these feelings of uncertainty and a feeling of lack of conviction, then self-doubt thereby is a feeling of uncertainty with regard to yourself. So we should regard it as a feeling. Now, if these are just feelings and we're intended to be able to navigate through our feelings and continue forward in spite of them, then confidence would be the way to move forward. But so how do we go from this place of self-doubt to confidence? Now, in one of my previous videos, it was all about that. Practice makes confident. So be sure to check out that video and you can learn more about how you can build and develop confidence. But so confidence is developed through practice. Whatever it is that we're self-doubting about, whatever we're not sure about our abilities in, we can develop the confidence through the practice of that activity. So confidence is not a fixed thing. every time we try something new, we're not confident in it. We're just trying it. And the self-doubt does arise, but we still do it. Otherwise, we'd never get to confidence. So it's imperative that we recognize that this feeling of self-doubt is part of the process and part of the path. It's one of the steps towards confidence. It's actually the first step. Because again, like I said, when you're trying something new and unfamiliar, stepping outside of your comfort zone, that self-doubt is always going to show up, And I mean, even for myself, I'm on this journey of personal transformation, focused on my mission to eradicate poverty, which is really this lack perspective. You know what I mean? If God is all things, God is abundant, then there is no lack. So the opposite of lack, as far as I'm concerned, is Godhood. So I study the attributes of God and begin to practice them, model myself after them so that I can walk this path free of poverty, free of lack, and share with you the skill set on how to do it. But this has been this progressive journey. I set out on this mission on November 27th of 2020, and that was the day it began. I never looked back since then. However, I was very convicted in what I was doing, but self-doubt consistently showed up. Self-doubt still shows up. You know what I mean? Self-doubt be stopping by on a day-to-day basis looking like, hey, Loretta, what's good? And I'd be like, oh, hey, wait over there. I'm busy right now. You know what I mean? And that's the way that we need to learn to keep self-doubt at bay, because it's going to show up, but it is not the driver of you or your life. You're the boss of you. So again, I began this journey November 27th, 2020. And so at that point, it was like, okay, my desire is to spread love, inspiration, and this is really what I'm doing. I want to encourage people and show them that God has provided the way. And so I understand the necessity to show up in order to do this. How am I inspiring and shining the light on people if I'm not showing up? If I'm out hiding in my crib, it ain't gonna work. So initially it was like, okay, this is about words, speaking life to people. So I began posting motivational quotes, and I developed a routine and a system with that. And so I was doing that daily, consistently banging it out. And I'm like, all right, this is me showing up. It was me showing up in the capacity that I was able to at that time. And so initially when I started it, it was a stretch, because I'd been trying for years prior to be consistent with showing up and like posting these motivational things. So, I was doing it for many years, but never consistently. So at this point, I was going to push myself to be consistent. And so I became very consistent with it. I was doing it every day, to the point where my following began to grow and people were checking for me, because it was like, oh, I'm showing up consistently with these motivational quotes. About 6 months into that, God was like, okay, you're a speaker, so now it's time for you to speak. I was terrified. Self-doubt was all over it. I'm like, do people want to hear what I got to say? Do I even look well? I just came off of being unhealthy. Like, do I even look okay? I don't want people to see me like this, that. The self-doubt. Am I good enough? Am I going to speak as articulate as necessary? What if I make a mistake? How do I even know what I'm saying is real, true, this, that. And it's like, then God told me, which this was awesome. God told me to post a video saying that I'm about to start showing up now, my face is speaking up. But what was holding me back previously was because I was scared and doubting myself. And it was like, wait a second, what? But what God showed me was that was my stance in putting fear on notice and taking this self-doubt and this fear that was within me and shining the light of day and the light of truth on it. Because as we know, the light dispels the darkness. And so as I posted that video and I spoke this out of myself, I released it from inside me and I put it out into the world. And that was June 10th, 2021. So it took me 6 months of showing up consistently with posting these quotes to get to the point where I was even willing to attempt to show my face and to begin speaking out of my own mouth. And so the point of that is to let you know that this self-doubt is this progressive journey that we go on in order to learn to maneuver through it. You know what I mean? So it's not for us to freak ourselves out or think, oh, I don't have no confidence, this and that. Understanding that confidence is a muscle. We develop confidence as we practice the skill set that we're desiring to be proficient in. And so with me, once I put that fear on notice, it diminished a lot of the self-doubt, because it was like, oh snap, now I know I could do it. Therefore, after that point, as the self-doubt showed up, it was like, oh, okay, self-doubt, I see you there, I feel you there, but I've done this before, so I know that I can do it. And as we step out and move through that self-doubt, acknowledging that it is just a feeling, then we're able to push ourselves a little further and step outside of our comfort zones and achieve the things that we have not previously achieved. Our desires are beyond our comfort zones. And that self-doubt is going to show up to keep us there, to keep us stagnant. And it's for us to acknowledge it and then to keep it pushing, keep on moving through it. Now, courage is really being able to do something that makes you afraid. A lot of times we get it twisted and we think that courage is that you never get scared. You know what I mean? And so it's important for us to acknowledge that that's not what courage is. Courage is when you do it afraid. I heard this other definition that said that courage is when you're the only one who knows you're scared. I like that one because you're not trying to show up quaking in your boots. But the thing is, this is all really about faith. It's like if you have a purpose and it's your calling, you know what I'm saying? And God has put you on the planet to accomplish this, then why would God have you out here looking a fool when you're doing what God is directing you to do? God don't work like that. It's not going to be like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's for us to trust that God is with us and God is all over it, whatever it is that we're being led to do, and that we can do it afraid. And that these feelings of self-doubt are normal. They're a part of life. So when they show up, we can't allow it to stop us. You know, I mean, on this journey, I've gone through so many phases of like really having to step through the self-doubt. And again, like I said, it routinely shows up. You know, I'll get an idea. I'm like, oh, that's a wonderful topic. I want to expound upon it. I start writing about writing about it in my notebook, theorizing, and I'm feeling pumped and great. And then when it comes time to share it, it's like, oh, does that make sense? Are there other people out there who have disproven this thought? Is this possible? Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? And like in those moments, I feel that feeling. I don't like it, but I know what it is. So what do I do in those moments? I continue to go, take a shower, get dressed, get ready, make my preparations, make my notes, and continue to progress along my schedule, because these feelings are not going to stop the move of God that I believe is occurring through me. Simple as that. So it's like, ultimately, it comes down to, do you believe God or not? You know, because self-doubt, yes, it is a natural feeling. It does not feel good. And it's us questioning ourselves. But ultimately, it's rooted in vanity. Like, you making yourself the center of everything. God sent you here on divine assignment, and you sitting around what? Not doing it because you worried about how you feel, what people think, this, that, and the other. You know, recognize that as you take these steps and you walk through this self-doubt, that's what's going to bring you the confidence. The only way we get to the confidence is stepping through the self-doubt, you know, and it's all okay. We all have courage within us, because again, courage is doing it afraid. You know what I mean? It's doing what frightens you. And we can do that. You know, there have been times where I'm quaking in my boots and I go forward. another example of a time where I was so scared. So I had been invited to the New York City Poetry Festival to read some poetry. Meanwhile, I've been writing poetry like forever, since like a kid, and so that was exciting. I'm like, oh snap, I'm gonna get to share my poetry. Meanwhile, I still write poetry, but I haven't shared poetry in so many years. So I was scared. It's like, oh no, I've cultivated this habit of speaking, but now I'm sharing poetry. Like, that's a whole different dynamic and dimension of showing what's in my heart. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but I'm scared. So I wrote a poem because I'm like, I want to share something new, not something that's 15 years old. So I write this new poem. I'm practicing it all week, going ham at home. My kids keep interrupting me. I'm like, can't you see I'm practicing? Because it's stressing me a little bit. But so I'm practicing. I'm reminding myself that like this is part of the progression, and I can tell that it is because of the way it's making me feel. It's scaring me. So I know that this is something I have to do because it's going to facilitate so much growth. So I'm practicing. I get to the poetry festival. It's time for me to go up. I go up. I forgot my entire poem. Forgot the whole thing. However, I opened my mouth and I just continued to speak. And God gave me the words. I didn't stop. Nobody knew I didn't know the poem. I mean, I'm not going to say it was my greatest work, but at the end of the whole thing, I was so impressed. Not with myself, but with God. Because what that experience showed me is that I'm a speaker and that God speaks through me. Like, that's the whole point. God wanted me to cultivate enough confidence to know, open your mouth so I can speak through you. So I had to cultivate the courage to be able to stand in front of people and willingly open my mouth so that God could speak through me. But so the real lesson from that experience was that I don't have to worry about what to say. Granted, yes, preparation is necessary. I can't go places unprepared and think that, oh, God is just going to do the whole thing. Obviously, just like with that poetry festival, I did prepare. However, when I got there, I drew a blank, but God still spoke through me. And so God showed me that helped to really begin to alleviate some of the doubt, the self-doubt that I don't have to worry about. Am I going to go up here and like draw a blank and not say nothing and be standing there staring at people like a deer in headlights? That experience showed me, don't worry about that. That fear, that self-doubt that may come up, get that off the table because that's not real. And it was like, oh snap. And then from there, after that experience, God was like, now I want you to practice this. I want you to create a setting where you do not prepare. Not because this is my main speech. Obviously, when I'm doing speaking engagements, I'm doing lots of preparation. But God told me, I want you to create an environment for yourself where you just open your mouth and speak so that you can practice trusting me more and more and more that I'm going to divinely guide you in speaking powerfully and speaking life to the people because you're the conduit. I'm the vessel. So therefore, I always have to trust that God is going to speak through me. And so I consistently practice that. And now here I am, a good 2.5 years later, a little bit over that, able to speak freely and confidently to this degree where I'm sure my confidence in the fact that does God speak through me is not a question. Like, I don't question that no more because I practiced it. However, that don't mean the self-doubt don't show up. You know what I mean? Every time I'm about to speak, it shows up. It's like, oh, hey, what if you make a mistake? What if this and that? However, I am confident in the fact that God speaks through me. So it don't matter how much self-doubt shows up because ultimately what it comes down to is, do I believe God? And I believe God. I believe God with my whole life. You know what I'm saying? So self-doubt, you can't stay. And when you show up, I recognize what true courage is. And so I'm able to do whatever it is afraid. And so can you. So I encourage you to understand self-doubt is just a feeling. It will show up, but just because it shows up don't mean you don't got it. You got it. Say a prayer. Ask God to help you through this situation, to work through you, allow you to be the conduit of whatever it is you're about to do, and watch how impressed you be at the end. Not with yourself, but with how God is using you, because that's always been the plan, for God to use you. Now, before we close out, I want to share with you a couple of tips on how you could really begin to alleviate this self-doubt and cultivate this confidence. Now, the first thing, it's necessary for us to always have these visual reminders. That's imperative, because scripture says to keep the word before your eyes. You know what I mean? Because we forget it. There's so much information that is coming at us. So all of that stuff is being imprinted into our consciousness at this rapid rate. And so it's for us to intentionally, on purpose, put things in front of our minds and in front of our eyes to keep them very prevalent and in the forefront of our consciousness. So this is what I'm sharing with you. And if you do it, I guarantee you will begin to cultivate confidence, conviction, and really help you to maneuver through these feelings of self-doubt. Now, what you need is Post-it notes, 2 Post-it notes. You're going to write on the first Post-it note, go get it. And the reason for that is because you understand that whatever it is that you desire and whatever it is that you want to pursue, it's out there. You've seen somebody doing it. You know what I mean? You know it exists. It's a real thing. And how do we obtain something that we want? We have to go get it. If I want something from the store, if there's something that I want to build, I got to go get what's necessary for it. Now, as you write on this Post-it note, go get it, it's a reminder to you that it is out there and it's up to you to go get it. And sitting down, being paralyzed by self-doubt is not going to get it. Going to get it means that on a day-to-day basis, I'm taking some action. It doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be daily, consistent action. So you put up this first Post-it note, go get it, as a reminder that every day you are going to take action in going to get what you want. Now, as you do that and you put up this Post-it note, you read it daily, you put it up somewhere in your room, near your bed, somewhere that you can see it on a constant basis. And as you look at it, you read it out loud and you embrace the feeling of it. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. You pump yourself up. Go get it. And then you begin to understand through time, as you consistently read this Post-it note and speak it out loud on a day-to-day basis, when self-doubt and fear arises, you remember, oh, go get it. I'm a little bit scared, but all I have to do is take simple action to go get it. Will I let the fear stop me from going to get it? And of course, you need to plan what your action steps will be for the day so you know what you have to do. So when the fear arises, you recognize, wait, I put on my list that I was going to make 3 phone calls about this. Am I going to allow self-doubt to stop me from making 3 phone calls? That's so simple. I know that what I want is out there and I got to go get it. So you consistently read that, go get it. And it begins to cultivate within you the belief and the knowing that you're a go-getter and you could go get it. The second Post-it note that I want you to put up says, what's going to stop me? Nothing. So you write all of that on a Post-it note. What's going to stop me? Nothing. This cultivates within you the confidence of knowing that your simple, practical action steps of you going to get it, what can stop you from doing those things on a day-to-day basis? Absolutely nothing. Because if I get up in the morning and I say, okay, the action step that I'm going to take, like I said previously, is make these 3 phone calls. What can really stop me from that other than myself? Where there's a will, there's a way. And that's very simple to make those 3 phone calls. So what's going to stop me? Nothing. And this begins to cultivate in you the understanding that self-doubt can't stop you, that fear can't stop you, that other people can't stop you, because you are creating for yourself these simple, practical action steps of you going to get what you want, because that's the only way you can get it, and recognizing that what can stop you from taking those steps? Absolutely nothing. And this begins to turn you into an unstoppable force, and you recognize that nothing can stop you. So again, you're going to put up those 2 post-it notes, put them somewhere close to your bed so you can see them when you get up in the morning and see them right before you go to bed. And the first one is going to say, go get it. And the next one is going to say, what's going to stop me? Nothing. And so as you get up in the morning, you're going to read those out loud to yourself. And then throughout the day, if you see them again, you read them out loud to yourself. Then at night before bed, you read them again out loud to yourself. And then those begin to be imprinted into your consciousness. So when the doubt arises, or when something comes up that's making you not feel like taking the next step that you know is necessary towards your desired goal, those thoughts will come up. You will remember, oh, go get it. If I want it, I gotta go get it. That's the only way to get it. So do I really want it? Yeah, so I'm gonna go get it. Then there'll be those times where you don't feel like it. You're too tired. You're like, I really don't want to. And then you remember, wait a second, what's going to stop me? The only thing that could stop me from taking my daily simple action step is me. So what's going to stop me? Nothing, because I'm not stopping me. And that's how you get it done. And I mean, I've been practicing this since November 27th of 2020. And it's very clear to me. Nothing can stop me because I won't stop. You know what I mean? So it's like about us really understanding that external factors are going to occur. Fear is going to show up. The self-doubts are going to come. But what can really stop you? You know what I mean? If I'm going on a walk, what's going to stop me from putting one foot in front of the other? Nothing other than myself deciding to not take those steps. And it's the same for you and everything that you desire and everything that God is leading and directing you to go do. You got to go get it. And you know what could stop you? Absolutely nothing, because you're an unstoppable force. And when you're living on purpose, then you're aligned with God. And so God is working with you and through you. And what could stop God? Nothing. Exactly. And that's how you get it done. So I pray that this blesses you. I thank you so much for your time. And remember that, you got what it takes. You always got what it takes. And it's all about being consistent and putting these drops in the bucket. Because if you have a bucket and you put a drop in it every day, then your overflow is guaranteed. So it's up to you to go get it. I thank you so much for your time. I love you so, so much. LJ the Peacemaker here, eradicating poverty, one thought at a time. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.